What is better than starting the day with some daily targets from the past? These are CSSBattle.dev. We've got a plus subscription. You can look at these old ones. These are from the end of May 2024. This is May 29th. That is May 30th. And that is May 31st. Let's get back to it. Well, this is certainly an interesting one. I'm going to start with blue on the background. The impulse, I think, is to make the shape with the cut up scallops, the internal parts of these, I guess, they're sort of buttony, sort of, or plus signs, or something like that. But I think that the right way to do this is as little as possible. So I'm going to start with a radial gradient on the background. So just bottom up, radial. Sometimes I think about top down, but here we're going to do a circle, and then it's white. I'm going to put a number that I'm not sure is correct, 30 pixels radius, and then blue. All right, so let's get that size right. 4, 5, sure. Then, because it's not in the middle, we'll just do a 0 and then give it a width of 50%, and that might give us what we want. It almost does, not quite. So what happens if we do another number? 4, 45%. What I would like is for the error on each one to be about the same, and that could be right. And so now we've changed the background position. So yeah. All right, so that's step 1, right? So that's how we get that repeat. That makes me think we're gonna, so right now we've got 35% as that, and that's actually pretty nice and clean. So what next? Thinking through. So have I already made more complexity than I want? What happens if I do margins here? What if I do margins on the HTML element? So that changes things quite a bit. And I'm going to put a red on the background here. So let's do, so that means this margin needs to be like this. Oh, because it needs to be nested. So normally I use my plugin for this, right? Plugin and then star nested margin. That is not what I expect. All right, so let's cut that, and let's go for my nested template, which apparently I don't understand very well. Okay. I don't know exactly what I got wrong. Oh, maybe because I can't see it because of the background. Something like that. All right. So let's make this 50% again. And put this at 0. Okay. 50, 51, 2. Okay. And I don't know if this matters. Does this matter now? That doesn't matter now. Okay. So now we're in the nested template, which I feel a little uneasy about. But it is what it is. So we have the ampersand representing the HTML element, the star representing the body element, and then inside that, we're going to keep nesting because in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm going to say width and height. Width of 40, height of 20. And that element is, interestingly, way off in space. Oh, and but that makes sense because that's, and I'm going to set margin of 0. And is that moving? It is not moving anything else. So, okay, that's great. And I'm going to give it a color of red. Oh, and that's not working. That's a bad sign. Oh, background. So again, it's too early in the morning and I have forgotten which things do what. All right, great. Okay, so the easy ones to place, the easy things to place is this. Straight up and down and this. So I think we're going to need 4 paragraph elements. And I'm going to use margins to put them in place. So 100. Okay. And already that is screwing up everything. That is altering so what's happening there? What we're seeing is the margins of the paragraph that I'm adding to move them around are also altering this background, which is already I mean, I think I could do like an over. So let's test this theory. If I do an overflow hidden, then I can force it to stay in place. No, I can't. Not really. But those margins are additive, right? So this is sort of the opposite of margin collapse. Like we've got margins suddenly, and this is making everything bigger to accommodate that. So I think what that means. So and the overflow hidden is not helping us. That was a lie. If now I do a position absolute, top 10, left. Okay, I can work with that. 5, 2. So basically, I'm just trying to get it to where I can understand what the heck I'm looking at. But I can absolutely work with this. 4, 5, 6. Lower 2, 3, 2, 5. And then the height is like 19 or something. And then the left is a little bit more, 2, 4, and then how about a background border radius? This is building this up a bit at a time. 10 pixels. And let's put the proper color on it. And there we can kind of see that this is definitely 20 tall. And this is too low. 4. There it is. Well, that's number 1. So each successive paragraph tag, we're going to give an attribute to P, A, B, C, D. All right, so what's D? D, we want to rotate 90 degrees. And that just works. Actually, B it just works great. Okay. because it's absolutely positioned, we don't have the same normal problems that we would have. Yes, so that's really good for us. I'm going to put rotate here, and I'm going to make it a var of dash dash R or 0, and then I could do a dash dash R. I also believe the top and left dash dash T or 124 and var dash dash L, which looks too much like a 1, but that's okay. All right. So that's the beginning. Next is C. We're going to do one of these other ones. And his rotate is going to be 45 degrees. There he is. And then the L is going to be 100. Did I nail it? I nailed it, I think. All right, and so D, nice round number. The R is minus 45 degrees. And the L is 100. There they are. So we can get cute here. We can do, the rotate is a calc of a rotate value times 45 degrees, right? And then this reduces, right? Remember your algebra, to 2. And then this reduces to 1. And this reduces to minus 1. I like that. This also means that we don't need to bother variabilizing the top value because they're all on a line and we're absolutely positioned, which was the right way to go in this case, or at least it was straightforward to do so. Now let's submit it before we over-congratulate ourselves. But that is 100% match, and so we have completed this particular guy. And this, again, we're doing a nested CSS happening here. So this is inside this, is inside this, is inside this, which is okay. We have extra semicolons there. I suppose we could see what it's like to undo that, but in this case, it's all right. Yeah. So let's minify. Unit replace, no units there, submit. And that's a final answer because that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that one. Pretty darn happy, and that's a better score than I've gotten in the past, which is a nice surprise. Pretty sure the way that I did before was I created divs and then paragraphs inside them. So created a div that is that circle and then place that, and then another set of that markup, a div with a paragraph inside, and then rotate it. But you still have to position, because of these shapes, you still have to position things in that way. All right, that's a fun one. All right, what do we got next? Sort of a weird crown, maybe. Let's go blank template on this guy as well. I have a weird idea to do with this one. A very weird idea. I think that we can set color of white on the element and then this background here. And let's use margins to get this into place. Yeah, margins to get this into place. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 70, 71, 72. Okay. Height, 120. So there's two tricky parts of this. One is this repeating guy, which we can do. My impulse is always for a conic gradient, but in this case, maybe a linear gradient coming in from 90 degrees, white, transparent. That is, I'm going to put black behind it. I'm going to have a no repeat. Black is there so that I don't get confused about exactly what I've created. And I want to do just this first rectangle and square. So it's at the top corner, 0, 0, and then it's got a width, 50 pixels. So that's what that looks like. And when I give it a height, there it is. So now, rather than transparent, I'm going to go ahead and put the color there. All right, so it needs to be a little wider. Again, I'm just trying to, so 50, 55, 56 maybe. And then a little taller, 35, 37, 38, 39, 40. 40 could be right. So it's 56 wide. Is this some, so I guess we want to see what the numbers are. Pick 10 pixels, 0. So let's make these color steps. 16 over 56. Is that a clean percentage? I find myself wondering, but I think I'm not going to bother with that right now. So let's repeat. Once we repeat, we get stripes. But we don't want to repeat in that way. We do want a backup color. And we want to repeat only on the x-axis. That gets us that. So how do we do these edges? I am feeling today, this is a clip path, but I want to do it with 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to do it with 5. Let's see if I can do it with 5. Genuinely curious whether this will work. Clip path, polygon, top corner 0, 0, other top corner 100% 0, 100%, and then down a little bit, and I think it's right in line with the height of this pattern. So is that 40 pixels? Let's find out. And then the middle bit, so I'm going to do 50%, 100% to start, and then the fifth one is 0, 40 pixels. So that's what that looks like. So if I'm right, I can increase that final point. So make that clip path literally be outside the bounds and have that go downward. So let's see if that's true. 150. That is true. 80. 200. So that's at, so if you think about the space, that clip path is below it. So I keep moving it lower and lower, which drags those lines. How about 300%? How about 400%? Ooh, 401, 2, 3, 450%. It's a little iffy. Let's submit it and see. So I'm seeing a little bit of trouble in the diff there. But that is 100% match. This is where angled things and circular things are a little bit tricky because computers can't really make that curve. They have to anti-alias. And so the Chrome backend of CSS Battle is doing its best to decide how do you render a soft or how do you render an angular line where two colors precisely meet? Well, you have to anti-alias. You have to provide little interim pixels. And so matching that perfectly in CSS Battle is a little trickier. But that's 100% match, and so I'm going to stop talking and resubmit for a final answer. All right, and that's also better score than I've got in the past. So let's finalize with, I think, pretty clearly, this is one where we're all in the body here. And what's my technique for this? So it's four. I see four gradients here. Can you think about what they are? And in this case, I'm going out, in, from the outside in. So, well, a little. What can I cover in the least time? So circle, and then it's, so these colors are very similar, but this one's slightly brighter. You got an inner color, and then transparent, and then that inner color again. So that's the inside of the circle and the outside of the circle. And then we got work to do. Okay, ready? We need units here. Let's use a Q unit because I'm a glutton for punishment today. Okay, so that's a circle, and I'm going to put the dark color as contrast. Okay, 75 Q, 24, 23, 74 Q, which I still don't really understand the Q unit. There we go. So that's pretty good. Q units are the first to go when I hit that 99.9% because pixel values just are more reliable for me. Now, because I'm trying to get this done fast, and I'd like to understand the solutions. Okay, what's next? Next, I believe, is a conic gradient. Yeah, next is a conic gradient. Or last is a conic gradient, actually, is more accurate. So I'm going to need, because I'm going to need little radial gradients here and here to do the rest of this. But the conic gradient becomes pretty clear cut. We do that at 25%. And I think it's centered in the middle, and I think so. So we do that, and then the dark color. And that's how we get that, which is pretty nice. And then we have the option. So now this background color is not doing anything. Right? That's just sitting way off in the background. So we need to now add circle. So the way I like to do this is create how about a G variable? Radial gradient. That's a circle, and it's just a little circle. It's just a little guy. Circle, 10 pixels of the dark color, 10 pixels, and then transparent. So we can't see that yet. It's just in a variable. But if we add it, bar, and I'm very definitively choosing to put this on the top left layer, because otherwise I couldn't see it. I would add this code, but because of the layer, it's not visible. So there it is, 36. So it's too small, right? It definitely looks too small. How about 20? Oh, and I guess that if I had pixel values here, it would be more obvious what its radius is. Okay. So we got that G. So we're going to need two of them. And we're going to use background position to put them where we want them. So the first one, I think we can just do, 40 pixels or something? 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Oh, and it's too big. So it's 15. And this is 85 then? Sure. All right. And then this guy, the second one, he's at 50% now, and he's still at 50%, but I need the Y to change, and so I think that'll be minus 85 pixels based on that, and there it is. That's a solution. Let's make sure that that is correct. Are there other optimizations to be made here? I don't think so. Is this the best ever solution? It's pretty good. It's hard to think that an element as, you know, paragraph-based solution would be better. Optimizations could be made doing this on potentially, well, so if I'm not going to show you, but part of CSS Battle is showing you top solutions of other players once the daily targets are in the past. So you can look and inspect. I find them very hard to read. They are fun to look at. They're not how I reason about CSS. They're not how I think about CSS. They are not really appropriate to day-to-day web page making because they're hard to read. They're often only valid in Chrome. There are reasons to do those things for projects and for speed and for those kinds of things. But for me, I like to think through what are all the pieces and have things be as compatible as possible across all the browsers. That's how I approach this. That's not code golf. I still manage to be an okay player. I'm in the top 100 at this as of this moment, and I'm content with that. I also like, you know, exploring gradients. That's just how I think. I'll go on a digression here, is that you know, I started programming before graphics programs were in common use, and so the only way to create graphics on a computer screen was to draw it out on graph paper and then imagine what are all the points and pixels to place them. And so CSS Battle is very similar to that in a lot of ways, and so that's one of the reasons that I'm so attracted to it. All right, so let's minify and unit replace and resubmit and see if we've accomplished our task. So yeah, so that's the end, the very end of May 2024. Three kind of interesting solutions. I'm a little surprised by the diff of this. That looks like a little more extreme than I would expect, than I would be thinking. But that's okay. And I guess if I give him more of a height, you can kind of see, right? If I add to this his height, the angle changes even more, which is kind of interesting and fun to look at. Of course, in a real browser situation, you see a scroll bar because this is coming off, but that's something that CSS Battle doesn't do. It doesn't force a scroll bar on you. Often that is a thing when you're dealing with it, at least when you're dealing with desktop. You're going to force a scroll bar, or you're going to be thinking about a scroll bar, because making an element super tall has an impact on the experience of the user. So anyway, that's enough chatter for me today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great day, and go make a web page today, because it's super fun to express yourself and share with the world and make fun, interesting, dazzling things. Bye-bye.